She's back, and she's being investigated for child labor. That's one way to pay for all those billboards. This is everyone's annual reminder that Shen Yun is put on by a cult called Falun Gong that's responsible for the deaths of thousands of its members. They limit their practitioners' contact with the outside world. They're against interracial marriage in the LGBT community, and they perform arranged marriages on their compound as a way to control their members and their families. But no, Falun Gong is not an ancient Chinese spiritual tradition. This was a cult that was started in the 90s, promising its practitioners a way to heal their illnesses using their mind. That's why so many of these cult members keep dying. When they get sick, they refuse to go to the hospital or accept medical treatment. They believe that they can heal themselves with their powers. And if they can't, that means that their faith wasn't strong enough, and they don't want to admit that. One man who left the cult saw how sick his mother was getting in a video call. She still lived in the cult's compound in upstate New York and rarely left its premises. By the time he finally convinced her to go to the doctor, she only weighed 70 pounds, and her kidney cancer had spread to her whole body. Sadly, it was already too late. Within weeks of seeing the doctor, she passed away. But the cult wasn't sad. They had already used up this woman's bank accounts. She was a top aide to Mr. Lee, the cult's founder. Many of his followers believed that he created the whole universe and was trying to save them from the end of the world. People in the cult believed that he could levitate, teleport, see what they were doing at all times, and read their thoughts. This man is a god in their eyes, so they pledged their loyalty, and they also pledged their bank accounts. The cult leader himself was using this woman's credit card. They spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on high-end pianos for the Shen Yun performances, and went on luxury shopping sprees across Europe, spending tens of thousands of dollars on things like luxury watches, jewelry, designer clothing, wool coats, seafood dinners, and custom billiard cues. Apparently, Mr. Lee loves to play pool, but if he's God, why does he need a credit card? Probably the same reason why Shen Yun got $48 million of US taxpayer money. They exploited a program designed to keep the arts afloat during the 2020 shutdown. No single group was supposed to get more than $10 million, but they applied to it as over 20 separate entities and were awarded almost 5 times that limit. Why are our taxes paying for this? Falun Gong has over $250 million now that we know of. They get their practitioners to smuggle wads of undeclared $100 bills into the country illegally. And their fake news outlet, the Epoch Times, got busted in a huge cryptocurrency scandal. So the Epoch Times is a far-right fake news outlet that has produced several pro-Trump documentaries. They repost other people's random viral videos on social media to try to get followers and then slowly push their political agenda to them. And it is political. They were the biggest spenders on Facebook ads for Donald Trump in the last election. And a lot of the people who work for the Epoch Times are volunteers. They're not being paid. How convenient. These cult members do free labor for the cult because they're told it will help them get closer to Mr. Lee, and it will help them get into heaven. In this life, it's okay to be poor and abused and have all your material possessions taken by the cult, as long as you believe none of that matters in the grand scheme of things. And that's why people were sending their kids to work for Shen Yun and Falun Gong. They would treat it as a field trip for experience and have children playing the instruments in the orchestra for their Shen Yun performances, among other things. After months of being bussed from city to city and day after day of hard work, these children were given a stipend, an envelope of cash that had barely enough to get by. On one hand, these people are victims of a predatory cult. On the other, they're the ones keeping it alive, and they fight to keep this cult alive. All those Shen Yun posters you see everywhere are put up by unpaid volunteers who are very pushy to the store owners. This is what happened when one man asked the cult member to leave his store.
是邪教的，你走不走？
邪教是共产党讲的。
这他妈的，你走不死，你跟我走吧！
想，那是
他妈的！
So if you see these posters around, don't take them off other people's property, but let the store owner know the full story of Shen Yun and what they're supporting by keeping that poster up. They play to our sympathies and pretend to be ambassadors of Chinese culture and spiritual tradition. But at the end of the day, Chinese people don't like them. They brainwashed their family members, thousands of people died, and they got kicked out of China. But the United States loves a predatory cult, and we love whatever China doesn't like. So they found their home at this compound in upstate New York that you can see from Google Satellite. It's time to spread the word and stop this cult from hurting more people.